Hello, everybody. Welcome back. It's Brian, Mr. Betcher, and Miss Berlin for Breaking Down Security.
Hello.
Hey, hey.
Hey, hey. Wow. Okay, so a new week. It's cold here now. It's like winter is here. It's not coming. It's starting.
Yes.
You got snow still, Miss Berlin?
Most of it's melted,
Oh, yeah?
but it's still cold.
Oh, yeah, I hate that. Mr. Betcher's further south of us, so he's basking in the glowing warm glow of sun, right?
Not a cloud in the
You
sky.
bastard.
Ugh.
You make me sick.
I mean, I went to West Virginia over the weekend, and it was still cold there, and it wasn't very fun.
That's right. You went to Secure, West Virginia. How was that?
I did. Amazing. Could
Wow.
not have asked for a better training.
Oh, you that was where you gave your first the matrix attack thing, the attack matrix
Nope.
thing. No,
Nope. Mm-mm.
Was it
No,
something
this
else?
is security, defense, and detection. It was so I don't get in trouble with copyright laws. It is modeled on one of the world's most popular RPG tabletop game
I don't know which one that
that
is.
involves many different sided die
Huh?
and game masters.
Don't know it. Nope, doesn't ring a bell.
No, it doesn't ring a bell. All
Nope.
right. Well, if you don't know what it is, I'm sorry. You can figure it out eventually.
Sorry, I'm not like all you nerds. I was a cool guy in school.
Right.
So,
Right. But didn't.
I don't need to tell you that.
So yeah, it was an 8-hour training that was basically just tabletop exercises built in with hands-on stuff. And yeah, it went really, really well. And now we're going to try and submit it to Black Hat this week
I see.
for a 2-day training.
Awesome. Okay.
Yeah.
And how many people showed up?
30.
30. How
We
many
had
was the maximum?
9 people sign up
Okay.
and 30 show up.
Oh.
Oh,
Ouch.
okay.
But the thing about that, like, is we can expand on a game like that. Like, we could probably comfortably do 50 people.
I see. So the folks that did not sign up, did you put them perhaps in the dungeon with your dragons?
No. They got to go with regular companies.
Oh, okay. All right. That's cool.
Yeah, there's a little short rundown that we tweeted on Twitter. It was actually, I could probably go over part of it if we have time.
So you were the master of the dungeon, and you were somewhere.
And my friend Jeremy, the guy that was on and did the voting podcast last year.
Oh, right.
About
right.
election security.
That's right.
Yeah, him and me are the two people that it's our baby.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's right. He
Let's
lives
see here.
in Cleveland, right?
He does live in Cleveland, yeah.
So he'd be a wizard on the coast of Lake Erie.
Right.
Oh,
So
right.
I'm gonna run. You don't care if I run through this real quick, do you?
No, please knock yourself
Like
out.
the ending of it. All
Yeah.
right. So 3/4 of our team acts because there's 4 people, four companies.
Uh-huh.
3/4 of them rolled critical failures on the last round.
Oh, wow.
Only one made it out alive.
Yes.
So St. Putin's Glory Hospital
Oh.
suffered exfil of HIPAA data via an unknown hospital breach. Oh, sorry, unknown hospital branch that they had acquired.
Oh.
They could not contact that branch, and they actually sent their help desk to go physically find them, never to be heard from again.
Oh my. Probably about
and
Lost in a coal mine.
yeah, and the incident was so vast, and the media backlash resulted in their bankruptcy.
Oh.
We had Panda Chip Manufacturing, who was at a significant disadvantage because they actually all started out on XP machines. Had an unknown breach. Global WAN was a part of a botnet, and the executive was found to be an insider for a nation state and was indicted and killed while in custody.
Oh, wow. Topical.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yes.
We had an AI blockchain startup.
Ew.
They recovered their compromised data from China via a in-person IR team, but had an insider threat.
Okay.
They ended up interrogating their staff one by one while the executives and legal planned out this. They sold all of their stocks to a rebranded shell company, but then they all ended up actually dying.
Was it dragons?
You know,
pandas.
we didn't. I feel like the employees fought back after they were, tortured and
Wow.
and interrogated. Yeah, and then we had a zippy nuclear plant.
Yep.
They recovered from a whole bunch of stuff, but actually couldn't escape the media fallout after losing all their stolen nuclear material. They successfully defended those media inquiries, though, and cleaned up the loose ties by killing the executive from the other team.
Wow, it's very violent.
That was in jail, right?
Very violent. Your business,
and somehow they're
stuff.
the only ones that survived.
Wow. Okay. It sounds
Like
like
physically survived or
Yes, physically survived. Everyone else was dead.
Okay.
I didn't realize there was so much murder and corruption in InfoSec.
well, no,
the stakes are high.
yeah, and there's a lot of murder hobos out there who play just to kill things.
So if you don't have in your tabletops and IR plans a plan to send your IR team to a foreign nation physically to get your data back, I think you're doing it wrong.
yeah, they know how the cloud works, right? You can't just walk up to
It
the
was
cloud
just the one copy of the data. That's what that's what it was.
Okay.
They rolled a 20. That was the one copy of the data.
Wow. Okay.
They got it back via means
They
necessary means.
hired some ex-Navy SEALs, I guess, to fly over to China.
So, needless to say, it was a blast
Okay.
and hilarious, and they learned a whole bunch of stuff. So,
Well, right on. Okay. So
Yeah.
you also gave a talk there, yeah?
yep, I was on a women in tech panel.
Awesome. Okay.
That went pretty well. Got to meet some awesome people.
Well, that's a perfect segue. We have tonight on our show somebody from Diana Initiative, Miss Swan, Circuit Swan. I just met her and know what her real life name is. I've only known her on Twitter as Circuit Swan. Welcome to the show.
Yay!
Yay, I'm happy to be here.
Awesome. Maybe you could tell everybody a little bit about yourself and how you got to where you're at in your career.
That's a weird and complicated path, but where I currently am is GitLab, and I'm on the secure team, which means we're writing software or integrating open source software security scanning into your DevOps pipeline. So we're helping red teams to get developers to test things early on in the process.
Nice. Okay.
Ooh.
How I got there was I coerced my mom into bringing me to DEF CON back in the single digit days when I wasn't old enough to actually fly or get a hotel room by myself, and have been attending HackerCons ever since and meandering through different parts of my career. I was a system administrator at Rackspace. I helped do Hadoop data lakes over at Geico. I have done all sorts of interesting things, but I've always been a hacker. And most recently, I've been helping with Diana Initiative because I had been helping with Sky Talks and kind of got involved with Diana and then fell into the deep end of the pool. I am now their Deputy Chief Operating Officer, also known as I am the project manager who herds the volunteer cats. And it is an amazing group of volunteer cats, but they still need herding.
That's very important to, one, to find the volunteers and ones that will take lead. So,
Herding cats is definitely a skill
Yep.
that more
Yep.
people should have.
Squirrel cats are not fun, man. Yeah. So one thing we wanted to talk about tonight was, what the Diana Initiative is about, maybe some history, things they might need or want with regards to that. And, by the way, just so that people don't realize it, I made the donation on their page just today, as a matter of fact. So it wasn't kind of a pay for play kind of thing. So, I just wanted to make sure that if anybody asks, that's where we're at on the up and up here. So, so this is the 4th year of this?
We, did 3 years where we were part of DEF CON or happening kind of in parallel in suites,
Okay.
or, fitting in where we could. And then we just got way too large. So our fourth year last year was actually at our own space at the Westin, and we'll be continuing there for 2020.
Nice.
And it's going to be on Thursday and Friday this year, so August 6th and 7th. And that is a very short walk, I promise, from either the Tuscany or the conference center. And so how it started was a bunch of women were getting together at DEF CON 23. They were eating together, and people who experience the same kind of things get into like, oh, how can we help other people? Or how can other people who have experienced this, how can we help them get where we have gotten? And they got an idea. And much like many people in information security, they decided to do something about it. And that's one of the things we love about this community is everyone is not looking for a handout, they're looking for a hand up. And so it's been about supporting and building community where everyone is welcoming and sort of understands where you're coming from. And so that's what we've been doing, is just building on how do we get people to believe and achieve, and how can we give them that hand up where possible.
Very cool. Okay. So the first year was there something called TiaraCon, or was that something else?
It was the same group, and then the name ended up shifting because there was kind of a change in leadership.
Oh, okay.
So with the change in leadership came, a new name and actually incorporation as a nonprofit. So that is super handy.
How many did you go to last year?
We had, for donation amount or people or?
People. Yeah, people.
We had about 800.
Nice.
And so not everyone showed up, unfortunately, but we had 800 people for, speakers and attendees.
I mean, that's bigger than a lot of B-sides that I've been to.
It's bigger than my conference.
And our goal this year is 1,000. We totally think we can do it. And we are hoping that aligning with the start of DEF CON works out really well. The number one feedback we got last year is that it was a great place to kind of have a more calm environment, make some friends, and find people who, in a calm and less 20,000 people way, shared your interests. And then people could then go to DEF CON with the new friends that they made and the new skills that they learned in our lockpicking village or soldering village, and expand on them with the large 20,000 person, slightly overwhelming crowd. But once you have an anchor and a couple friends to go with, it's less overwhelming.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah, I totally get that.
Yeah. So one of the things that it says your mission is to encourage diversity and support women who want to pursue careers in information security, promote diverse and supportive workplaces, and help change workplace cultures. Yeah, how do I say this? Some people out there believe that being a 40-year-old white male, I am part of the problem. Am I welcome at the Diana Initiative if I bought a ticket and wanted to come?
Absolutely, everyone is welcome. And we try and keep everything super positive. If someone does happen to be a negative, harassing person, we have a security crew, and that person will be asked to leave regardless of who they are.
Understood.
But as long as everyone is there and they want to learn and want to hang out with people, absolutely welcome, kids through adults.
Right on. Y'all got some big sponsors: Uber, Google, Starbucks, Microsoft, Remediant, Carnegie Mellon, Intel, Dragos, Nordstrom's. Those aren't small names. That's pretty awesome. Yeah.
Last year, we did get a bunch of big name sponsors. We just opened up sponsorship for this coming year, so we haven't secured any new sponsors yet. But what we enjoy is we don't have sales tables. We have some tables mostly where people are kind of just telling you about their company and their security department in the company. Mm-hmm. And so it's mostly people who are trying to either show that they care about security and diversity or hire. And that's kind of our favorite sponsor, is ones who are looking to hire, which mirrors really well with our career village that we're running, which actually allows me to segue into our expansion of free tickets. Last year, we only gave away free tickets to students, and we are expanding that this year to be students, anyone who's currently unemployed, military veterans, And we're also giving to WISP scholarship winners again this year.
Okay.
And so we're really hoping that everyone who can come and take advantage will.
Sweet.
That's
I'm a
awesome.
veteran. I can get a free ticket. Sweet. All right.
You're unemployed?
No, I'm a veteran. She said veteran. But don't jinx me, bro. Don't jinx me. Jesus. I like my job right now. I like my job for the first time in about 15 years. I could say that. All right. So I wanted to speak to some of the things that I see on Twitter, not just drama wise, but I mean like some of the questions and comments that I sometimes see. What kind of tracks are you looking for with regards to speaking tracks? Because I see things where it's like you go to DEF CON or you go to DerbyCon, you're going to see a lot of technical talks. If you go to something like the Diana Initiative, all you're going to hear about is personal branding and how to market yourself and get yourself hired. So what kind of talks are you looking for?
Last year we absolutely had technical talks. We are looking to have, much like we went diversity of audience, we went diversity of talks. So we want to make sure there's some red team, some blue team, some deeply technical, some lightly technical, and some just people skills. And so we want to cover the entire gamut. We also really would love first-time speakers through super experienced speakers. In fact, last year we provided mentorship to anyone who checked the box and said that they were a first-time speaker and their, submission was a little rough. We offered to hook them up with a mentor. And everyone who did apply after getting mentored, because not everyone decided to apply for round 2, did actually get accepted. And it's a blind submission and we didn't allow the mentors to vote. So it was not, because we were picking our favorites. And we're expanding that this year to not only help them with their submission, but if they get accepted, we will help first-time speakers with their presentation as well. And so if anyone is interested in being a mentor, or if they're a first-time speaker, we really want to encourage that so that it's not all people who've been in the industry for a while, because there's always some new interesting ways to look at things. So
awesome.
Yeah, definitely. That's one of the reasons why I like what Besides Las Vegas does with their mentorship program. It always seems to, whether it's their first time talking or first time, some people are mentoring, they're learning on both ends of that.
That's actually where I got started.
Yeah,
that was my first talk ever, and I probably would not have been as good or prolific as a speaker if I hadn't had mentorship for that extended period of time like that.
Yep.
Who would you say, what type of person would the Diana Initiative help the most?
We are mostly aiming, because we want to concentrate our resources where we can impact, on women and non-binary people who are either feeling frustrated right now or are just trying to get into the industry and are trying to figure out, how do I find my way to a good company and not somewhere that's going to be frustrating? So that's where a majority of our effort is concentrated, because there's tons of other groups out there like QueerCon that are going to help, other people. We would love to help everyone, but there's only so many hours in a day, and that's where we're concentrating our efforts the most.
Those who need more education as well, and sort of mentor them into getting, like say, okay, what are you interested in? Here's some advice on what you need to study, or classes you need to take, or books you need to read, things like that.
Or a podcast you need to listen to.
Wink. Wink.
So I think depending on the area that people are interested, a lot of people have that pretty locked down. There's Chloe, there's the CTF Circle. So there's a lot of year-round resources that we have a year-round Diana Slack. And as people come up and say that they're interested in a particular area, we have a bunch of people who are in those other Slacks that are mostly women or non-binary centric, and send people over to them. So where we're concentrating is just getting people jobs in the industry, or helping people maybe improve their workplace in whatever ways they can. And then beyond that, we will point to as many resources as we are aware of. And so if anyone out there is running a community that's pretty inclusive and we can come join and check it out, we are happy to start referring people over into places. If you have a specialization, like if you're really into a reverse engineering community that's pretty welcoming, we'd love to know about it.
Okay, so it's more for getting jobs, right? Finding the right job.
Yep. And it's also a regular conference as well. But a lot of our stuff is concentrated towards changing to a company with a better job or getting your first job.
Yeah. Awesome.
So do you ever, I say you being the royal you, has Diana ever said, no to a sponsor because for a fact that their culture of, their office culture is toxic too?
I cannot name names, but there was definitely a sponsor with money that we turned down last year. Wow. Money is nice, but there are certain lines in the sand.
Nice.
And so the board kind of discusses anyone who does want to become a sponsor and decides whether, they align or not.
Right. Okay. Hey, that's well done. I mean, y'all could have, ended up taking that anyway. And, that would have been somebody would have pointed it out, no doubt. So that's pretty good.
We're actually in a unique situation where we raise a lot of funds from the community itself. So we have the donor drive going year round, and we raise enough funds. Our goal on Giving Tuesday after Black Friday is to actually hit the cost of our audio visual, which is insanely high in Las Vegas. If you've never had to buy AV there, it's amazing, and internet, which is also amazingly priced. And so we would love for the community to actually cover that cost completely, so we don't have to have a sponsor. And every year we have a large amount of the community just covering our costs, so that this way we don't necessarily have to worry about, are we going to have to make bad decisions, or are we going to have to cut back on things?
Right. AV is expensive in Vegas.
And they don't let you bring your own. So you can't even roll down and pick up your own projector. It's like you must use the magical projectors provided by the...
Is it a union thing or?
At the Westin, it's not. I can't quite get into details, but there is a contract and you will use the things that are provided through contract.
Things that make you go, Okay. So you said there's CTFs, there's lock picking, there's solder village.
Yep.
Not soldier. I looked at that first and I processed soldier. I was like, really, soldier? Okay. Soldering village, career village. Career village is that like the resume review stuff, like what Ms. Bat does?
It is similar. I've helped out at Ms. Bat and Hack for Pancakes Resume Clinic. I also attended and was helping out at ShellCon. I was one of the speakers for their Raise Me, which is kind of their career track. And so we're borrowing good ideas with permission from everywhere that we can. And we also had Carnegie Mellon, who was a sponsor last year, but their main sponsorship was they actually sent the people who do the reviews of the students and help students practice mock interviews for jobs and check their LinkedIn and work on their resumes, come and help people out like the entire conference. And so we're using that knowledge plus everything else to hopefully everyone who wants to sign up, we're hoping to do like quick 15-minute in the Ms. Bat Hacks for Pancake style reviews. We encourage people to sign up for more than one. So mock interviews are very underutilized in my opinion. Like, you will get better at a skill the more you practice.
Right.
And so if you have the opportunity to practice interviewing, you will be less nervous and have more answers ready when you're doing a live interview. So you can sign up for like 2 of those. And so you get 2 different people and you can practice with, 2 different sets of questions.
Awesome. I know this, that people who haven't interviewed or haven't interviewed very much, they feel very confident about their abilities until they get asked questions, and usually what happens is they crash and burn. They just need some experience there, and a mock interview is great to tell them where they're going wrong or what they need to work on more, and gives them a sense of some direction to go. If they've never done a mock interview or an interview, and they think they're going to do well, not going to happen.
See, I never think I'm going to do well. I always assume I never got the job in the first place. Yeah, I've actually participated in some of the mock interviews. I did them at Derby and DefendCon up here in Seattle. And you were at DefendCon, weren't you?
And I was at Derby, and I was helping at the clinic at both.
Oh my God. I'm like, it's like a goldfish
The dots
memory.
have been connected.
I got goldfish memory. Oh my God. No, I remember somebody introducing themselves, and then you were one of the organizers of DefendCon? Or helpers?
Nope. I helped with the clinic.
Okay.
So Ms. Bat and Leslie are very busy, so I lend out my project management skills. So they're just like, can you send emails and hunt people down to RSVP? And I'm like, I got it. So.
Okay. Yes. Okay. See, I never forget a face except when I forget it. And yeah. Okay. Well, there you go. So the reason, not only the only reason, but one of the reasons I wanted to have you on is I do a conference up here in Seattle called InfoSec Campout. We only had about 40 or 50 people in, but, one of the things I wanted to discuss, and, there's B-sides out there, and there's all kinds of, organizations and people all the time thinking, hey, I want to do this conference thing. Some of the things you may not be thinking of is how to add more D&I or diversity and inclusion into their event. And, I wondered if there was anything you might be able to help us and shed some light on things that would make it easier for us. I think of things like food, but there's other things I'm obviously missing. So
I actually have a whole publicly accessible document that makes recommendations for people running conferences in general, with some things about diversity specifically.
Mm-hmm.
Pink Push Pop helps me maintain that. And there is a whole variety of things. And so one thing to consider is drinks. Do you always have mocktails or other type of things available? And are you not making alcohol the focus of your networking events? For food, obviously finding out about allergies or religious items and trying to accommodate that wherever possible, and making sure everything's labeled so at least people can opt into what they want to eat and not have any unpleasant surprises.
Mm-hmm.
But there's also a lot of very simple things you can do, and some of these are kind of HackerCon specific, but having the lanyards that denote whether you want to be in photographs or not, having the communication badges for the neurodiverse crowd that may not be great at communicating when they want to be approached and talked to versus not. There was a great example at MS Ignite, I think, on Twitter recently. Also, I think there was another conference. It wasn't Grace Hopper, but it was similar that did it. You could do pins, what we're actually plotting, fingers crossed. I don't know if I want to get too into it, but we are plotting something really cool in that vein for Diana Initiative this coming year. And our badge maker is an amazing human, and we will see what she comes up with, but she has a couple ideas. So I'm super excited. And the idea there is you have shapes and colors, and one denotes, I'm super friendly, I'm in the mood to talk, please come talk to me. The other one's like, maybe I want to talk to you if I've met you before, but I'm kind of like low on social energy right now, versus the, I just want to watch a talk, please leave me alone right now.
Yes.
That's very helpful for people who maybe are getting a little overwhelmed. And if you keep draining their social energy, they're just going to have to bounce and not be able to enjoy the rest of the conference. Allowing people to put their pronouns on in the form of pins, write it on their badge, stickers, so that that pressure of having to self-identify their pronouns is kind of lifted, because if everyone's got it, that's the standard, and it's not this additional burden that someone has to go through. So there's a ton of things. Those are just a couple. Obviously, making sure that you have a strong code of conduct, a security team, a clear way for people to report any kind of violations or issues. And in general, just having plenty of volunteers wandering around, making sure that things are, trying to stay pleasant. It's amazing what you can diffuse if you can get there early enough. And so depending on the situation, sometimes you can make something, not explode or not be as uncomfortable. If one of the things we were telling our staff at Diana was, hey, at the party, if you see someone who just looks uncomfortable, go up and talk to them and ask if they, needed to, have they checked out the swag? Have they checked out the raffle? Have they checked out this? But intentionally give them the opportunity to have an out if they want one. And so they might just be an uncomfortable person and might just be like, okay, yeah, thanks, whatever. And that's
like me, 24/7.
Wow.
But you may also then have just given the opportunity to them to have an out and say, yeah, let's, where is the raffle? Take me to the raffle. So looking for those cues and having enough volunteers around to just be spotting people that maybe aren't talking to someone they want to be talking to.
What's a good ratio for that? I had 45 people, I think, in my conference, and we had roughly 1 per 10 persons. If you have 800 people, you can't have 80 volunteers, can you?
Well, it depends on the, we did, but it also depends on the location. So in a talk track, you obviously need less volunteers than in, for example, the networking event area or the party area. So your ratio needs to be that higher number during those type of situations. Whereas when it's a talk track, you could just have, 1 or 2 people who are also the speaker wranglers, who are also doing intros, but they're walking around the room and making sure that everything in the room seems okay. Nobody's taking pictures if they shouldn't be, / nobody kind of seems to be, inching up on somebody who's like, I don't like that. So, looking for body cues. And that's why a lot of people are like, I'd love to volunteer for safety. And it's like, we actually have a higher threshold for those sort of volunteers, specifically because they do need to have experience looking for those types of things and working in those type of situations.
Wow. So being a volunteer is not just, warm body and being able to be ambulatory,
depending on the volunteer position. If you want to help carry boxes, if you're ambulatory and can carry 50 pounds, then yes. So we have all different kinds of volunteer shifts, and some of them are literally, I need to get the stuff from the storage unit into the U-Haul. As many people as would like to lift boxes, please join me.
I got a free ticket because I'm veteran, so I don't have volunteer for y'all's thing, but
we're still gonna make you pick up boxes and move them.
Damn. Fine, whatever. All right. So, do you give your volunteers any kind of training to make sure that they're all at kind of level thing, or do you?
It depends on the position. Like registration ops gets training, safety ops gets some training. Some of the other positions, you come in and we give you a little printed document where you're like, you're in charge of directing people to these rooms. Here's a map. Memorize the map, take a look around, and then be able to point people in the correct direction. So it really depends on.
And that was part 1 of our interview with circuitswan, part of the Diana Initiative, and all-around good person. So I really enjoyed the first half of this discussion. Next week, we're going to talk about some of what she does with DevSecOps, SecDevOps, whichever one you want to call it, at GitLab. It's not a sponsored talk by any means, but it's just, we talk about a little bit of what's going on with GitLab and how you can potentially use it for your own environment. All right, so you can find circuitswan on Twitter easily enough at circuitswan, all one word. You can find out more about the Diana Initiative by going on Twitter and following Diana Initiative. You can look that up as well. Their conference is going on in Las Vegas August 6th through the 7th, 2020, which is Thursday and Friday next year. I do believe she said that room blocks will be available, so you can always check that out if you're wanting to go to that. Kind of do the alter cons, if you will. Not the Black Hat and the Def Cons maybe, but hit up the Diana Initiative, hit up B-Sides Las Vegas, and any of the other alter cons that are going on. So, all right. Before we go, a couple things. Layer 8 conference is going on. Will be holding Layer 8 conference in the Rhode Island Convention Center on Saturday, June 6th in 2020. A couple of our Slackers mentioned this. They wanted us to mention this on the show, and I'll mention it for the next couple weeks or so. One of the questions I asked them was about, because we're talking about Diana Initiative, was diversity and inclusion and what initiatives are trying to do for that. So one of the things, they're offering scholarships for certain people that meet certain thresholds. And they said regarding diversity scholarships, it's being worked on, and the number of available spots will highly depend on the number of sponsorships the conference secures. As a side note, WorkshopCon will sponsor a number of Layer 8 conference tickets if people follow at WorkshopCon on Twitter and tweet to us why they're interested in social engineering and OSINT topics with a hashtag send me to Layer 8 with the number 8. We will select folks from those tweets with the emphasis on being folks coming from underrepresented or minority groups. In terms of sponsorship information for Layer 8, send an email if you're interested in helping out Layer 8 Conference by going to sponsors at Layer 8, the number 8, conference.com. And if they have any other questions, hit them up on our Slack. I'll send you along to them. All right. So also you can go to www.workshopcon.com/events or Layer 8 with number 8 conference.com. All right. Well, before we go, you can follow everybody on Twitter at InfoSister for Ms. Berlin, at BetcherPwned for Mr. Betcher, at Brian Brake for me. Brakesec is the official Twitter for the podcast, BRAKESEC. And you can get the rest of us by just searching for us. We're all kind of a big deal. We have many leather-bound books in our offices, smell of rich mahogany, that kind of stuff. We have a TPub website, so if you're interested in buying some paraphernalia or T-shirts or anything from us, you can go to brakesec.com/store and go and check that out. We also have a Patreon. We thank our Patreon supporters for helping us with hosting duties, with paying for the Zoom that we use every week for various meetups and meetings that we do online through our Slack, the SIM and logging Slack, the CTF discussions, the book clubs, and also our podcast. So thank you to all of our Patreon supporters for that. We have numerous places you can find us. If word of mouth is gold for us. So, tell a friend about our podcast. Tell them what you've learned, what's good for you, what worked for you. Even feel free to tell them what didn't work for you and what they could improve on. But please send us a note if you have improvements that you'd like to see to the show, and we'll see what we can do. We're on iHeartRadio, SoundCloud, Google Play Store, iTunes. I understand feedback on iTunes and these various platforms often give us more exposure. So, please feel free to leave a review if you can. We have our own YouTube channel, so you can go and check all the show notes at breakingsecurity.com, BRAKEING security.com, and join our Slack. It's very active. We got a lot of people on there. A lot of folks talking about various things, all the way from OSINT and social engineering to reverse engineering and debugging, and everything in between. So if you're interested in doing all of that, send us a DM to our Twitter, Brakesec, or you can email bds.podcast@gmail.com. And we'll do our best to get you on as soon as we can. All right, that was it for this week. Part 2 will be up next week, and it's going to be pretty awesome as well. And so take care of yourselves, be nice to one another, and we'll talk to y'all again soon.